Hi everyone, tonight on Business Live, price of crude oil recovers to pre-pandemic level after hitting an all-time low. What does this mean for us? We'll discuss. Meanwhile, study by Institute for Energy Security shows depreciation of cedi, taxes and levies were drivers for 347% increase in fuel prices over the last 10 years. We'll speak to the researchers behind this new report. Also coming up tonight, Cocoa Board in advanced talks with banks to draw down rest of the syndicated loan to pay license buying companies. Plus, increasing piracy and kidnapping on the Gulf of Guinea, contributing to high shipping costs for exporters and importers. We hear from a security expert. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Details right after this break. Tonight, the price of oil has recovered to its pre-pandemic levels, having hit an all-time low last year. Whilst demand for oil is still lower than normal, there are hopes of a speedier than expected economic recovery as vaccines are rolled out. Oil prices are often seen as a barometer for economic activity, still struggling with the virus downturn. Brent crude, the major benchmark for oil, has seen a strong growth recently. Futures contracts, which are based on the price of future delivery, have jumped 59% since November. Now, Brent crude currently is trading around $60 a barrel. So what are the drivers of this oil price surge? Let's pull up an infographic for you. The first, we understand, is a sharp upturn in expectations for economic and oil demand recovery on signs that COVID-19 may finally be in retreat. We'll have more on this after the break. The oil price surge hitting pre-pandemic levels, and we're trying to find out the drivers of this oil price surge, and we understand it has to do with a sharp upturn in expectations for economic and oil demand recovery on signs that COVID-19 may finally be in retreat. Now, the COVID-19 crisis has been devastating for the petroleum industry, and last year prices slumped below zero with more than 1 billion surplus barrels. Also, demand has been rising in parts of the world, particularly Asia. Also, we're hearing there are efforts by oil-producing nations, that is Saudi Arabia in particular, to limit output. Now, since agreeing to the cut in production last April, producers have held back a cumulative 2.1 billion barrels of oil, leading to decreasing stockpiles. And another driver, as consumers are buying more online, this has spurred demand for fuel to power delivery trucks and vans, along with cargo ships and freight trains. The e-commerce boom has also caused a spike for plastic packaging, which is made using oil products. Well, joining me to discuss this and other related matters is Elizabeth Sam, research analyst with the Institute for Energy Research. Great to have you on the program tonight. We'll talk about an analysis from the IES on how the depreciation of the cedi, taxes and levies have pushed fuel prices up over 347% in 10 years. First, we want to talk about the current oil prices. So we are back to $60 a barrel, pre-pandemic levels, and we explained in that infographic what triggered that. And so what does this mean for producers and consumers, do you think?
Well, with the rising prices in crude oil means that refinery prices will go up, and our local products would also go up because global oil price is a key determinant of the prices of fuel that we pay at the pump. So yes, with an increase, we are expecting increase in petroleum product prices.
And so how is that beneficial for us, somebody watching and wondering?
Well, it really isn't, because if there is an increase in price, that means you are paying more for traveling the same distance you travel. There will be increase in production cost. It's just a ripple effect on all other sectors. So an increase in price is not good for anyone. At the end of the day, your household budget would increase, and you will most likely respond by cutting down on savings or cutting down on your expenses.
Yeah.
So an increase in price is not a favorable thing for anyone.
But I guess oil producing firms may be excited about this development.
Yes. The only people who benefit are the suppliers of oil, not those who consume it.
Okay, but I'm just looking at the trend. I'm wondering how sustainable do you think this is at this $60 a barrel? For how long are we going to see it go? The pandemic is still raging. Is it going to last for a certain period of time?
Well,
or you think that we're going to fall back to the $30 a barrel we're seeing previously?
It's too early to tell how long this increase would last for. But in the short term, with the announcements that the vaccines being released are very efficient, US cutting back on its shale production and inventory, OPEC Plus making that move a bold step of restraining the output, and Saudi Arabia's contribution to the whole thing really is working at holding down the price, and it looks like it's working, and it will work for the short term. As to long term, there are too many variables that affect oil prices. But for US example, the Democrats are now in power, and the likelihood of increase in production is very slim. We are expecting that renewables will take on more steam, and if renewables are taking over, fossil fuel will be scarce, and then the prices will go higher.
All right, we'll watch how the dynamics play out. But, you mentioned that this certainly, the prices going up has an impact on fuel prices. And so I want you to tell us more about the study conducted by the IES on what has been the drivers for fuel hikes over the past 10 years in the country. What did you find?
So the key determinants of local pump prices here in Ghana are the global crude oil price, the price of finished petroleum products, the performance of the cedi to foreign currencies, and the taxes and levies that are slapped onto it. Out of these determinants, we realized that the taxes and levies and the cedi depreciation greatly affected the prices that we are presently paying in Ghana. Over a decade, we've seen the introduction of the special petroleum tax, which was in 2015. There was an upward adjustment of the road fund levy, the energy debt recovery levy, price stabilization and recovery levy, and 100% increase in burst margins. So even though within this decade, Ghana went for price deregulation of a downstream sector, which slowed down the increase in prices because of these tax and levies addition, and also the cedi depreciation. The cedi has depreciated by approximately 265% over the decade. What it means is that our importers, that's our BDCs, are burning more cedi to get the same quantity of products they normally buy. And so this cost will be passed on to the OMCs, the oil marketing companies, who will then pass it on to us. And that means we are paying more. So these two major factors are the cause of our increase in prices. COVID helped us reduce the price because at the end of 2020, the average price of gasoline stood at 4.76 cedi per liter, as against 2015's 5.18 cedi per liter. So had it not been for COVID, we would be paying more than 6 cedis per liter.
Based on your findings, are you making any recommendations?
Well, from these findings, we can say that the two factors which are in our control, especially the taxes and levies. If no new taxes are being added, or some are even taken out, those that have probably outlived their purposes are taken out, we could see a better prices. We could enjoy the benefits of the decrease or the slightly increasing prices of oil. Also, cedi depreciation. I know there are lots of factors that goes into the cedi underperforming or whatnot, but if that is kept under control or stabilized, then we can have a hold on the increasing rate at which our prices are increasing in Ghana.
Okay, one more question for you tonight, Elizabeth. Something also related. We've been talking about fuel, and it looks like there is an over-reliance on fuel. I'm talking about this because General Electric, I'm told, has announced is working towards an all-electric future, planning to produce only emission-free vehicles by 2035. And so I'm just wondering where we stand as a country in terms of looking at other energy options. I know the IEA has been making a push for renewable energy. What are our options?
Well, as it stands now, Ghana is not really doing much when it comes to moving to renewable sources of energy or alternative energy sources. But globally, we are seeing a shift. We are seeing a great shift to renewables. And if Ghana would hop on, because the prices of wind, the cost of utility scale solar is going down, so is wind. And so if Ghana is to hop onto it, it means that we are going to have the benefits that Europe and other renewable energy dependent countries are experiencing now. But then again, it would require us to critically look at our policies and invest more into our renewables and allow for independent power producers who want to venture into renewables to come on board and support us. And that will really help minimize the cost of electricity in Ghana here and help with the electrification of the nation.
Great. How refreshing to talk to you tonight, Elizabeth Sam, a research analyst with the Institute for Energy Security. Thanks for your time. Well, we shift from oil to another commodity, that is cocoa. Now, Cocoa Board says it is in advanced talks with banks to draw down the rest of the syndicated loan to be paid to pay the licensed buying companies the rest of the seed fund. Now, this will enable the licensed buying companies to also make payments to the farmers and subsequently reduce the anxiety within the cocoa industry. Joy Businesses learned the funds may come in by the end of this week or next week. Now, Cocoa Board has already admitted delaying payment to some licensed buying companies, a development that has created apprehension in the cocoa industry. The companies received the first tranche of the syndicated loan at the beginning of the main crop season in October last year, and they were expected to receive the second tranche at the end of December or January this year to facilitate cocoa purchases from the cocoa farmers. Now, coffee grows well where cocoa grows, but Ghana exported less coffee worth only $34,000 in 2018. Coffee farmers find it shocking that government is not investing in the coffee value chain as it requires minimal capital. President of the Coffee Federation of Ghana, Chief Nathaniel Ebo Insako, has been speaking with my colleague Inshirado on Joy Prime.
Coffee export revenue for Ghana for 2015 was abysmally around $3,000 US. Whereas in 2016, we hit very high, about 1.4 million. Then 2017, we had 55,000 US dollars, and then 2018, 34,000. So you can see that we have been struggling. Wow. Whereas our other, competitors, that is other African countries, are doing very well. They contribute hugely to their GDP. Ghana does just about 0.2% of our contribution to the GDP. But in Burundi, I'm trying to make some analysis for you to see. In Burundi, they make about 35.6%. Ethiopia does 18.9%. Uganda does 17.9%. Rwanda does 9%, and Kenya does 3.6%. Now, you mentioned that in Kenya, when you travel there, they don't joke with their coffee. You go to Ethiopia, they don't joke with their coffee. Ghana has done very well in the area of cocoa, but when it comes to ranking second in the world, but when it comes to coffee, we are not even on the list when it comes to coffee.
Now,
other countries.
What is the potential for growth in that space, especially from the little I've read? It seems that the Robusta variety is one that easily grows here in Ghana because it's not as temperamental as the Arabica.
Precisely. Our landscape is good for Robusta, and Robusta is very resilient. Coffee does well, cocoa does, but coffee is a very strong and resilient kind of crop, which is able to even resist the climate change. And so areas where cocoa is struggling, coffee can easily do very, very well. Even in our lands where, Galamsey has destroyed them, when you grow coffee there, it will do very well, especially the Robusta. That's the type that does very well in Ghana. There are few places where they try to do the Arabica in Ghana, but then it's not anything to write home about. We have in Ghana, the variety that we grow is mainly the Robusta. And I believe that with the climate change conditions where, cocoa lands are being quickly depleted in terms of not doing well, I think we should take a second look at coffee. And it's going to give us our money's worth, and it's worth our while. Coffee is very easy to handle. Cocoa farmer might have done cocoa for ages, for decades, and may not have seen the processing of it or the product of cocoa on his table. But with coffee, once you do coffee farming, you can brew some yourself. The processing is not as cumbersome and difficult as cocoa. And therefore, it doesn't require huge capital. So it's quite shocking that as a country, we don't take advantage of the arable land that we have in the country to invest. It doesn't require that huge capital. It doesn't take 10 years and the likes, even though cocoa now has been short. We have a variety that does well within a very short period. Coffee, within 3 years, 4 years, you are in the area of harvesting. And I'm sure that, when you harvest coffee and you look at the turnaround of coffee, the money that it gives, cocoa doesn't come near it.
Certainly worth looking at. Also tonight in the news, the reported cases of piracy and kidnapping on the Gulf of Guinea, believe it or not, is a contributory factor to the high shipping costs for exporters and importers. The situation has compelled the United Nations Development Programme and the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center to organize a capacity training workshop for stakeholders to ensure safety on the Gulf of Guinea. Head of Conflict Management Programme at the Faculty of Academic Research and Affairs and Research at the Center, John Mark Poku, has been explaining the importance of the program in this report.
Gulf of Guinea is one of the critical corridors across the world as a result of factors including the oil and gas sector. According to the United Nations Development Programme, the strategic location also makes it a major trade route for the export and import of food items, humanitarian assistance, and manufactured goods. The training is part of a series of contributions by both the UNDP and the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center to control crime on maritime operations and thereby reduce the cost of doing business on the Gulf of Guinea. Head of Conflict Management Programme, Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, John Mark Poku, has been explaining the importance of the program.
What it does is that it makes the waters in the Gulf of Guinea unsafe for sea-based transportation. And when that happens, shipping lines will have to pay higher premium for crew on vessels that bring our cargo, the sugar, the milk, all the things that you see on the market. also the transportation cost goes up. So eventually it will hit the cost of living of you and I. And so we are doing our bit to support the process for controlling the high levels of piracy in our waters so that life will be bearable for us. And we are not just looking at piracy. Sometimes whilst we sleep, you have industrial fishing vessels that are scraping our seabed, looking for legal and illegal sort of fishes. And so if you're able to do, and it is taken up quite well, we'll be able to mitigate the occurrence of such crimes.
Resident representative for the UNDP in Ghana, Dr. Angela Lusigi, in an interview told Joy Business that combating maritime crime is part of a development agenda due to its impact on investment.
The issue of maritime security is a very important issue for development. And because of the implications that insecurity has, not just on the lives of coastal communities, but also the whole investment framework in countries like Ghana, but also the opening that it has for illegal activities that terrorists can exploit. So for us, we see the critical importance of this project in developing the capacity of not just Ghana, but all the countries along the Gulf of Guinea to be able to come up with a strong framework for addressing these issues so that we can have people's prosperity while at the same time ensuring that we maintain peace and stability in the region.
In recent times, the region has become an area of interest for maritime crime, especially piracy, oil bunkering, illegal fishing, among others.
Some news for you, just in case you're planning to travel. Beginning today, all ECOWAS travelers arriving in Ghana will pay $50 for the COVID-19 PCR test instead of $150. However, those coming from outside West Africa will pay $150 for the COVID-19 test. President Akufo-Addo announced this during one of his COVID-19 updates. Now, the Ghana Airport Authority, in a statement, said airlines which board passengers without PCR test results or transport passengers with positive PCR test results into the country will be fined a sum of $3,500 a passenger. Non-Ghanaians may also be refused entry and returned to the point of embarkation at a cost to the airline. However, Ghanaians will be allowed entry, but subject to 14 days of mandatory quarantine at a designated facility. All right, time for some money tips tonight. Here's Money Lab.
On Money Lab today, we continue with our financial wellness series. Today, we want to look at the anchor of savings. Savings has proven to be one of the critical things anybody who wants to become financially well must do and do well. Now, it is not about how much you put aside in your savings. It is about how consistent you do it. So anybody who has a financial goal in this new year to receive or to earn a particular amount, I would advise you to begin with savings and make sure you do it consistently. Why? Anybody who is currently at 25 years who would want to earn $1 million by, say, age 60 can do that with just 89 cedis if they are consistent. Another person who may even be just 45, who is unable to put any amount down, would be a pauper by the time he turns 60. So use the channel of mobilizing your own income through savings. But like I say, it is not about how much, it's about how well you do it consistently. And when you do, you'll be financially well. Tomorrow, we'll be learning about moving up even beyond savings, and you'll even become better financially.
One of the things Dr. Richmond Frimpong told me was to save at least 6 months of your salary somewhere. That's Business Live tonight. Ponder over that. We're back same time tomorrow.